Hi, and thank you for downloading this Singapore and Indonesia market updates. I'm Brent Anderson, the General Manager of South and Southeast Asia, and just wanted to give you an overview of the two markets that have been performing extremely well for Australia in the last 12 months. One of the fundamental operation models that we use in South and Southeast Asia is the tourism ecosystem. This ecosystem provides a strong network to quickly introduce and communicate new Australian experiences to consumers, drive trends and seasonal offers throughout the ecosystem, and all activities are integrated and driving leads to other partners. This also allows us to generate increased marketing budget from our partners, allowing us to compete against other destinations. If you have a look at the makeup, we've got airlines, non-traditional partners such as financial institutions, WeGo, which is a meta search agent that also drives content out to consumers, our traditional travel agent partners, TA's own activities, as well as our public relations and international media hosting program. Singapore's arrivals and spend performance was very encouraging throughout 2016. The strong growth experience was very much driven by our holiday purpose of visit category, which grew 20%, but more importantly, reflecting our yield strategy in the market, grew 22% in expenditure. In terms of what consumers are looking for from Tourism Australia's Consumer Demand Project, Singapore, similar to other Southeast Asian markets, values safety and security as their number one priority. A very strong sense of value for money, but also some of our key elements and key strengths such as good food and wine, friendly citizens, creating that welcoming message, as well as our world-class nature and just how accessible it is to the consumer. It's very important when we're communicating to these consumers that we have a very strong value proposition, which we position Australia competitively around just the diversity of experiences that are available in a single visit to Australia. One thing we don't lack in Singapore is great air access and connectivity. We have multiple carriers. Singapore remains one of the most important hubs for arrivals to Australia, and this allows us to ensure that we have an always-on campaign running with our airline partners, also partnerships with STOs that work directly with the airlines. It creates significant competition in the market, and our focus here is really looking at those off-peak and shoulder seasons, how we can boost those load levels up to continue to encourage airlines to look at increased capacity. The Aussie Specialist Program was relaunched in 2016, and in Singapore we've got 453 agents, but more importantly 291 that have achieved the minimum qualification standard or above. It's really important that this re-energised program really drives our distribution partners to look at how they're marketing in Australia and what they're actually selling to their consumers. In 2017-18, our focus is really going to be on the Aussie Specialist agents marketing themselves and incentivising them to do something, because it's critical that this program has some awareness and interest amongst consumers and they understand what dealing with an Aussie Specialist gets them. Looking ahead, the key opportunities for Tourism Australia and the Australian industry look at these traditional partnerships and how they allow us to have an always-on activity. This allows us to extend the reach through increased investment by the partners, but also looking at the partners' existing channels as media channels as well. Consumers are actively researching their holidays through these channels, and if we can ensure that we've got the right message all aligned in these channels, it's very effective. The second one is the financial institutions. Similar to what we've done in other markets, we're seeing a greater interest in getting directly involved in the sales process for travel by financial institutions. They not only allow us to target the high-value traveller more effectively and give us reach, but quite often they'll offer incentives to these consumers to get them to use their particular card to travel to Australia. Dispersal is a key issue for us, especially with some of our major cities experiencing accommodation shortage. Singaporeans love to self-drive in Australia, with over 50% of our leisure visitors self-driving. So this gives us a great opportunity to get them out into regional Australia and experience some new Australian experiences, and they obviously share those experiences with their friends when they come home. Probably the key initiative that we'll keep going on is on this tactical content. It's very important that we've got content readily usable by our distribution and other partners within the ecosystem that's driving directly to a sale. We're finding this a very effective channel to get consumers across the line, especially as traditional forms of advertising start to decrease in effectiveness. The other areas we're looking at is similar to the WeGo opportunity and partnership that we have at the moment, looking at other regional opportunities to take that content and localise it for markets. In terms of the challenges we see ahead, the strengthening Australian dollar could impact Australia's value proposition to consumers, which will be an advantage for our key competitors such as Japan, South Korea and a re-emergent Taiwan. Europe at the moment has also got a very strong value proposition and cachet and bragging rights. Our goal is to introduce new reasons to visit. With consumers very time poor and attention deficit, it's critical that we get the right message instantly to kick with them. Moving on to Indonesia. The key point to make is 2 years ago, Tourism Australia and the STOs adopted a relaunch strategy in this market. It's got massive potential for Australia and it was important that we really focused on it and got a team on the ground. I'm pleased to say that we currently have a full complement of our team at last, and this is really going to allow us to move this market forward even further. As you can see from the arrivals performance, that relaunch that happened in 2015 has really picked up momentum in 2016. This is very much supported by the change in visa regime from a 1 year to a 3 year multi-entry visa, which has really allowed us to not only engage the tourism ecosystem in the market, but get consumers very much looking at new experiences in Australia. Looking at the holiday visitors, which have very much led this growth, they were up 26% in 2016 and a staggering 55% increase in spend. Looking at the CDP and what are the most important factors for Indonesian travellers, again safety and security is number one, and this is probably one of the most sensitive markets in that regard. The other elements all combine to create this sense of the relaxed Aussie lifestyle. And one of the key things Indonesians are travelling for is to escape the hectic lifestyle that they do have, and they very much see it as family reconnection time and reconnecting with one another. Indonesia enjoys a relatively healthy level of aviation access to Australia, with a lot of those services coming via Denpasar, which is also servicing the Australian outbound market to Bali. Of importance and focus for Australia is the growth of the Jakarta direct services for TA. This year we've seen Garuda announce a 13% increase in seasonal capacity to cope with peak periods, and our job is really to focus on locking those in to make them not seasonal but regular services. The only challenge we're facing in this regard is the availability of landing slots at Jakarta while there's massive development going on at that airport. The Aussie Specialist Program, launched in 2016 in the market, has seen great success in terms of the agent registrations, with 270 agents already qualified. Aim for us is to build a network of these agents not only in the key markets of Jakarta and Surabaya, but also throughout those secondary cities that are starting to show emerging signs of interest in Australia. The biggest opportunity that we have with the Aussie Specialist Program in the market is this massive shift from group tours to FIT. 2 years ago, 60% of our business was group and only 40% FIT. Now our agents are reporting around 80% of their business is FIT, which is presenting a number of challenges for them in how they sell to consumers, but a great opportunity for Tourism Australia and the STOs to get in there and train them and be dominant in the market. Indonesia represents a significant opportunity for the Australian tourism industry. It's the fourth largest and fastest growing middle class in the world. The key cities of Jakarta and Surabaya, where Tourism Australia is actively investing and building our networks and partnerships in these markets. The broad partnership foundation that we have in place continues to provide opportunity and drive results for these partners, but it also allows us to reach into those secondary emerging cities to ensure that we can service them and any reactive opportunities that come along. There's a very strong appetite for new experiences both from the trade and our partners as well as the consumers. So it's one of the fastest maturing consumer travel markets that we've seen. We also have a full team on the ground at the moment, and this is a great opportunity for us to drive greater service and enhance the performance of our activities as well as those of our partners. There are a number of challenges in the market. Most importantly, macroeconomic changes can have a sudden impact on our activities, so it's vital that we monitor these closely. The strengthening Australian dollar, as said before with Singapore, will also eat into the value proposition that we have. Our key challenge in the market is getting increased Australian industry engagement. There's a strong appetite in the market, but we need to make sure we're creating opportunities for the Australian industry to see the chance of return on investment and help us build that overall diversity of Australian experience message. The growing relevance of the secondary cities can sometimes be a distraction, and we need to keep focused on that Jakarta and Surabaya investment and then evaluate any opportunities that come out of these secondary cities closely. The number one challenge at the moment is the FIT emerging at a rapid pace, as I said before, and how we actively engage with our trade partners who have traditionally structured the businesses to handle group business, and how they can incentivise their team to learn how to sell to the FIT traveller. Looking at opportunities for the Australian industry in Indonesia and Singapore. Probably the number one opportunity short term is Walkabout Southeast Asia in Bali in September. We're trying to get some new product into the market that really allow us to keep showcasing that Australia is a continually evolving destination. Walkabout will have participants from Indonesia, Singapore and Malaysia, so it's a great opportunity to target the whole region. Throughout ATE and throughout the year, ensure when you're doing sales calls and market visits that you actively look out and talk to Tourism Australia about who the key distribution partners in the market. These are agents that are actively investing in campaigns that are supported by Tourism Australia and our state and territory tourism organisations as well as regions. Content. Can't stress this point enough. Give us your text, your images and your videos that we can use license free with agents and get them to incentivise their consumers as well as create packages around them. The appetite for content in the markets at the moment is massive. Support our public relations activities. You normally get involved in this through your STO, but feel free to let us know if you've got major activities through our Sydney office. We're always looking for great content to get out there and tell a new message about Australia. The Aussie Specialist Program, as I've highlighted early in the presentation, look at the travel club opportunities there. Get agents to come down and share their experience of your product. Talk to your local STO about plan for mills from the markets as well that you'd be interested in supporting. And also look out for regular updates on our training events that we happen to have in market. Another thing that's becoming of more relevance across Southeast Asia is look at your halal-friendly credentials. If you have this capability, let us know. It's becoming of increasing importance, and we're seeing some of our competitors such as South Korea doing really well in this regard. Thank you very much for listening to the presentation. Feel free to contact me on the contact details attached, and look forward to having your questions, but thanks for your interest.